Coming up on Network Africa, Madagascar's military leader, Colonel Michael Randrianirina, is sworn in as president of the country. Kenya's President William Ruto attends the lying-in-state ceremony for former Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga as thousands of people attend the state funeral in Nairobi. Supporters of Cameroon's opposition candidate Issa Chiroma torched governing party offices over allegations of election fraud. Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin in Madagascar, where the military leader, Colonel Michael Randrianirina, has been sworn in as the country's new president, and this is coming days after a military takeover in the Indian Ocean nation. The swearing-in ceremony took place at the Constitutional Court in the capital, Antananarivo, where citizens gathered to watch, including many who had spearheaded protests. He succeeds President Andre Rajoelina, who fled the country and was later impeached following weeks of youth-led protests that demanded greater accountability from his government. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has strongly condemned this recent unconstitutional change of government, calling for the immediate restoration of constitutional order and respect for the rule of law. Well, out on the streets of the capital, business and daily activities have started to return to the capital just days after the political upheaval, which saw the military take over the country. In Kenya, President William Ruto has arrived at the parliament in Nairobi to attend the lying-in-state ceremony of former opposition leader and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who passed away on Wednesday. On his arrival, President Ruto met with the priests before heading to the ceremony hall to pay tribute to the late Odinga. The president also signed the condolence book at the parliament, and he was comforting Odinga's family members. The thousands of mourners are attending the state funeral for the former prime minister at the National Stadium in the Kenyan capital. Many were carrying national flags, portraits of the late leader, and wearing shirts printed with his image to pay their final respects. Security in and around the stadium said to have been tight, with police and military officers deployed to prevent a recurrence of the unrest witnessed on Thursday during the public body viewing ceremony. At least 3 people unfortunately lost their lives after police fired gunshots and tear gas in an attempt to contain the huge crowds who had turned out to escort Odinga's body from the country's main airport after it arrived from India, where he died on Wednesday. Well, joining us now for more on today's ceremony in Nairobi, Kenya, is Cyrus Ombati. He's a Kenyan journalist. Hello, Cyrus. Thank you for speaking to us again today. How has today's ceremony played out, since the lying-in-state at the parliament?
Well, thank you for having me the show. As you put it very clear today, the program went on well from the beginning in the morning. It started at 7 a.m. when the body was taken to Parliament where today in the state, because yesterday it was not possible because of the chaos that was experienced. From Parliament, the body was taken to the National Stadium, where they also instead for a state funeral, and there were the leaders from the country and the neighboring countries, and many other leaders sent their condolences. The program went on smoothly until around 1 p.m. when again the public was allowed to continue viewing the body as planned. So the day, you can say, as compared to yesterday, security was tight. The stadium, there was order. There were more police officers and the military who ensured that the crowd or those who were attending the funeral itself were orderly in a way to view the body as planned.
Well, talk us through the next steps now, for his burial, which I assume would be in his hometown, right?
Yeah, tomorrow now they're flying the body to Kisumu, where it's the home turf, actually, as you put it.
Well, for those who were killed yesterday was on Thursday was an unfortunate, sight, and then to have had 3 people killed just for coming out to view the body. What explanation do security operatives have for opening fire on that crowd?
Well, publicly, the police have also explained what happened and why they had opened fire in the crowd. But then initially they had said that there were chaos, there were confrontation between the mourners and the security agencies. Some mourners wanted to access the VIP room where the body was being prepared for public viewing, forcing police to kind of lob tear gas and open fire. We understand at least three people died and 100 were injured in the chaos, and some of them are around 20 of them are still in hospital, but others were discharged after being attended to. The police are yet to issue an official statement regarding the shooting itself, because I believe they want to wait for the burial of Mr. Odinga, then they can now explain what happened. But the human rights activists have been pushing for accountability into this matter. They are the mourning today with the families whose victims were killed, and they are demanding for justice for those who are killed.
Now, given the deep political influence Raila Odinga wielded across multiple decades in Kenya and even on the continent, how will his passing, reshape the current political landscape in the country, especially within the opposition movement?
Actually, that's the debate everyone is having currently in Kenya, because they're saying who is going to fit Mr. Odinga's shoes, not his brother, not the people who are around him. So there's a lot of speculation. People are trying to say some of the officials in his party, which is called Orange Democratic Movement, they may try to fit in. Mr. Odinga was not just an opposition politician. After the last years and the protests which occurred in Kenya, which were so deadly, the anti-protests, he decided to join Mr. William Ruto in government. They formed what they call the broad-based government, whereby he now is trying to help the government to run affairs, because some of the members of parliament, especially who are in the coalition of Mr. Ruto, they withdrew. So the ODM came in on board to help Ruto run the government. So his death is a big kind of a negative impact to Mr. Ruto's government and Kenya at large. It will take time to get someone to fit or to kind of fit in shoes politically in all ways that you may want to look at it. It has a big impact, a negative impact in the country.
All right then, Cyrus Ombati, Kenyan journalist, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you for me, the show.
We're in Western Africa now. Mass chaos has gripped the Chang in the western region of Cameroon as supporters of opposition candidate Issa Chiroma reportedly vandalized buildings and blocked streets in protest over alleged election fraud. The unrest occurred when Mr. Chiroma's supporters claimed to have discovered evidence of tampering with the region's election results by the Electoral Office. According to local reports, protesters headed to the ruling party's CPDM building, vandalizing the compound and setting ablaze vehicles before continuing to the residents of the University of the Chang Vector, whom they accuse of being behind the fraud. Though several arrests have been made in connection with the violence. Earlier, Issa Chiroma, leader of the Opposition Front for National Salvation, had declared himself the winner of the October 12 elections, directly challenging President Paul Biya's 43-year rule. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has reaffirmed that the fight against corruption in his country must remain firmly anchored in the rule of law and due process applied without fear or favor. He made the remarks while responding to oral questions in the National Council of Provinces in Cape Town, following revelations by the Special Investigating Unit that public funds amounting to 2 billion rand were looted at a Johannesburg hospital.
Overcome the scourge of corruption, Honorable Chair, in our society, we need to uphold as well as to advance the rule of law. We need to ensure that due process is indeed followed without fear, favor, or prejudice. Since the start of this presidency, in 2018. We have focused on rebuilding our law enforcement agencies, strengthening and resourcing our institutions, as well as entrenching the independence of the judiciary. The results of these efforts are evident. Bodies like the Special Investigating Unit, the Hawks, and the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption are registering significant progress in uncovering corruption, making arrests, embarking on prosecutions, as well as recovering stolen assets. These bodies have shown that they do not fear to act, and as we speak, a number of figures in government and state-owned entities and business are standing trial for alleged.
In celebration of World Food Day, the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs has held a special lecture in Lagos. It was themed Food Security to Food Sovereignty. How far has Nigeria gone? Well, with special lecture delivered by the Executive Governor of Niger State, Farmer Mohammed Umar Bago. In his address, the governor advised investment in Nigeria's agriculture sector as solutions to insecurity and underdevelopment. Our correspondent Amarachi Ubani reports.
A recent study by the World Food Programme says over 30 million Nigerians face acute food insecurity, and 37% of people nationwide live below the poverty line. Poverty, high food inflation, conflicts and displacement, poor infrastructure and food loss, as well as agricultural challenges, are factors responsible for the figures. But Niger State appears to have it all covered. Under the leadership of the governor, Farmer Mohammed Umar Bago, huge investments have been made into agriculture, providing not only food, but employment and capital to invest in other areas of the state.
We're going to produce a 500 billion naira food over time for Lagos State. It's going to create for people back home who are direct farmers. It's going to create employment for people who are working in processing companies. It's going to create market for people in Lagos who are selling to consumers. Traceability of what you eat is very important. You know where it's being cropped, you know where it's being bred, and you know when it's coming and how it's coming, and you know the shelf life even before you eat.
The governor provides guidelines to help the rest of Nigeria replicate the Niger State success story. And attendees, made up of Niger State government officials, members of the diplomatic community, members of the academia and the NIIA, security chiefs and invited guests, listen attentively.
Nigeria must increase investment in mechanization. We must increase investment in mechanization to make agriculture compete with every other country in the world. Secondly, we must invest in irrigation and water management structure. We need to have guaranteed market pricing of all locally produced food commodities. We also need to promote contract farming. When I say contract farming, I just mentioned about livestock. We can farm livestock for Dubai. We can farm livestock for Saudi Arabia. We can farm bananas for Russians.
The governor is well known to the Director General of the NIIA, Professor Hossein Osaye, who extols the governor's largesse even to the institute.
We proposed to His Excellency the endowment of a chair in his name, a chair to be known as His Excellency Governor Mohammed Umar Bago Chair in Food and Human. You heard me. And His Excellency has generously accepted that proposal.
At the end of the lecture, attendees are convinced their perspective on agriculture has been shifted. There is no shame to being a farmer, because if they truly invest not just finances, but technological know-how, they would be the better for it. Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
Still on World Food Day, the Lagos State government has restated its commitment to ensuring food security in spite of its geographical limitations. The secretary to the state government, Abimbola Saliu Hudein, made this known at the grand finale of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems event in commemoration of the 2025 World Food Day at the Police College, Ikeja. She says the state government is redefining agriculture as a dynamic engine for growth, inclusion and sustainability.
The World Food Day is a day often set aside for the celebration of abundance of harvests and agricultural produce. And farmers in Lagos State lived up to the billing at the Police College, Ikeja. The Lagos State Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems, championing the food security drive for the state, brought together farm clusters across the 5 divisions of the state and senior government officials to witness this year's World Food Day celebration, which comes with a word on food price reduction.
To every farmer here on this field today, we just want to say thank you. We love you. We appreciate you for coming out in your large numbers to show what Lagos can indeed produce.
Courtesy of Mr. Governor, that our prices in Lagos are coming down because a lot is being done to ensure that our farmers have enough to plant and enough to sell. And because of that, the prices of goods generally are coming down in Lagos.
Partners of Lagos State says community farmers must be supported to increase food production.
When we buy from local farmers, we contribute to the health of our economy and help sustain the livelihoods of those that work tirelessly to put food on our tables. We need everyone, the government, private sector, civil society and individuals to rally behind this cause.
The chairman of Mile 12 International Market also speaks on the initiatives of the federal and state government to ensure a food-secure nation.
Government has taken good action to ensure that food is surplus in the country. As I'm talking to you now, if you go to Mile 12 Market and other market that we have perishable items, those items are so abundant. And that is because federal government has made sure that people in Nigeria start getting relief.
The secretary to the state government, who is here to represent the governor, says government is building food hubs to make farm produce available to all residents within their locality.
Currently, work is at advanced stage to deliver phase 1 of the K2 while through additional mid-level agro-produce hubs at Abijo Ibejuleki and Dairy Farm Agege are nearing completion. Construction is also ongoing at Opebi Ikeja and Bombata, Lagos Island, with more hubs planned for Ikorodu, Lekki and Festa, towards ensuring that each local government area and each local and LCDA has at least one hub.
The State Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Systems encourages residents to imbibe the culture of farming in their own little space.
Within the confines of our homes, whatever it is we can grow, be it your shoko, be it your ewedu, be it your water leaf, whatever it is, even your yam in your sacks, you can do something in your home. That is urban farming. And so that can act as a complement to what our food producers and actors are doing.
Farm Junction is recognized as the best agro-processor. Best farm settlement goes to Ajara. Apapa local government receives Best Agriculture Champion, and the most beautiful farmer also receives a mini truck. All these have been done to inspire the farmers and processors so they can put in more effort to boost food production in Lagos State.
Welcome to our Africa Tech segment. Tech leaders, innovators and investors have converged in Lagos for the 3rd edition of the Moonshot conference organized by Tech Cabal. The annual event focused on how Africa's tech ecosystem is building momentum for its next big leap, with discussions on infrastructure, digital inclusion and policy frameworks shaping the continent's innovation future.
It's that time of the year again when some of Africa's brightest minds in tech, innovation and investment gather to imagine the continent's digital future. Now in its third year, Moonshot by Tech Cabal has now become a flagship conference in the continent's innovation space. This year's theme, Building Momentum, Africa's tech ecosystem positions itself for its next big leap, sets the tone for conversations around how the continent is mobilizing infrastructure, capital, talent, and policy for growth.
When we first came up with the idea of Moonshot, it wasn't the first event that Tech Cabal had ever done. We'd done many of them before. But Moonshot was our Moonshot. It was, in terms of ambition, in terms of scale, in terms of energy, larger than anything we had attempted before. And 3 years later, I'd say that we have accomplished some of what it is that we set out to do. We have built a conference that grows in size and scale and ambition year after year. At Tech Cabal, we are super passionate about the future of technology in Africa. We believe it will be the biggest driver of productivity for the continent over the next decade and beyond.
Speaking virtually, the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy describes Moonshot as one of his favorite tech events, commending its focus on the continent's digital transformation journey.
We have prioritized artificial intelligence because this is a no-brainer for the world. We see this as an enabler of productivity. That is why Nigeria today has one of the most talked about artificial intelligence strategies on the African continent. And you know what? This is why you should all check out the Ed Atlas, which is our LLM, which is also open source, and the framework is now being made available to other African countries so that they can also build their own large language models. And it's why I've made a commitment to also ensure that each one of you guys have access to a copy of the Ed Atlas t-shirt that you can take away from this Moonshot.
Among key sessions on the main stage were conversations on closing the coverage gap, last-mile access in the age of AI and cloud, highlighting the need to expand connectivity to underserved communities.
Yes, we do realize we do have huge coverage gaps in the country. But you also have to appreciate that we've come a long way over the past 2 decades. But I'd also like to point out it's not just about coverage. There's also the usage aspect, and I'll cite 1 or 2 statistics. Across sub-Saharan Africa, we have about 700 million Africans who live under coverage who are not able to use it or not making use of it for various reasons, whether it's having the right device, having the skills to use the device, or even content. Because as simple as it may sound, we have loads of content in English, but sometimes it might be a small village with this local dialect. You know how we have every road you cross in Nigeria, there's a different dialect. So even the content in localized formats is a challenge.
We have invested in infrastructure. It's not like the infrastructure isn't there. And I mean, all around the country, there is an investment in massive infrastructure. However, the last mile, all right, you know, before we venture into maybe the place you mentioned or some other rural areas, one of the things we'll consider is it viable? Because we have access to limited resources in respect to funding. So as an investor, as a private sector player, one of the things that will be paramount in my mind is how do I recoup my investment as fast as possible?
We've done a lot of work already over the last couple of years in terms of last mile build, but it's not just last mile build from fiber. You need to ensure you have sufficient power sources across the various rural communities, because power is a critical element to ensuring that you are able to have as much uptime as possible. So, and fiber is not the only vessel that can be used to power these rural communities. So we also partners with the satellite providers to ensure that leveraging on satellite technology as well, we're able to move into rural and hard-to-reach communities as well.
Another panel examines who's driving Africa's digital rights frameworks, exploring how policies can balance innovation, data protection, and privacy in a fast-evolving digital space.
This conversation here is timely because Nigeria is one of the leading countries to enact its data protection regulation.
Beyond the panels and keynotes, Moonshot provides a space to share ideas on how Africa can sustain the momentum of its growing tech ecosystem and prepare for its next big leap.
And as we end the program today, here's a fun fact about the continent. Did you know that Algeria is the largest country in Africa and the 10th largest in the world, with most of its population concentrated in the Mediterranean coastal region? The Sahara Desert covers over 80% of Algeria's land mass. It's known for its rich history, which includes a long period of French colonization, and its cultural features. And its culture features unique elements like Arabic and Berber languages, and 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and couscous, which is its national dish. And that's the program for today and for the week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Larinde. Have a lovely weekend.